Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Before I continue with the topic of discussion today, please make sure you hit the subscribe button because in addition to style, fashion, and just general everyday ramblings, I do talk about important issues that are both international and political and relative to the United Arab Emirates where I currently reside. Now, without further ado, let's begin. So, I have another exciting story for you guys today. As you all know, I am very vocal about my experiences in life, no matter which country I am based in. I think it is always important to have a voice, and I think one of the best quotes that I try to implement into my life and have always tried to implement into my life is one which states, if you stand for nothing, you will fall for everything. I think in today's political climate, in today's time, with everything that is going on in the world, you need to have your own voice and you need to have a clear vision for what you want to do with your life and who you are, and you need to be aware that even if you are one amongst a million, you can make a difference in this world. With my channel, what I aim to do, again, consistently and constantly, is to get my voice out there, is to help people, is to help all of us. Now, when I was being raised, I was never aware of the differences in skin color. I was never aware that, I might reach a point in my life where kids who are of a different ethnicity are given preference over me, people who are of a different ethnicity would get paid more than me. These are just things that we're not taught, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing to be raised colorblind because you see people for people and you don't see people for their color. Now, that being said, this is one amongst many of the events that happen in this country, and I do have to talk about it because I think things have to change. But before I go on to talk about it, I do have to state the positives, because there are a lot of positives to living in Dubai. Number one, it is super safe. I can walk home with denim shorts and a hoodie and completely tossed off my mind, and I'm more likely to get picked up by the police than I am to be hounded by random hooligans or be mugged, etc., etc. It is like living in a hotel 24/7, and yes, we're all paying the literal price of what it feels like to live in a hotel. All of that aside, primarily what it comes down to is race. Where do you come from? What is your ethnicity? And I say that from personal, first-hand experience backed up by witnesses. Plain. Let me begin by giving you guys an example. There was a bar that I used to frequent as a youngin. And me and my friends had a really great time going to this place. It was very casual back in the day, great live band, great staff, just wholesome and fun. It wasn't a club, it was a bar. And then they upgraded their management and things changed. I stopped feeling that scene. I didn't go in for that kind of deal anymore. And until years later, I decided with my friends, okay, cool, let's do this. Let's, check it out. I haven't been there in so long. Now, I know how to dress for a club or a bar. I have been brought up in a way where I've always been told, have nice shoes, wear trousers, wear a nice shirt. Especially if you're going out for dinner or you're going out to a bar or a club, and sometimes certain restaurants, and I've always followed that law. Now, for this particular bar, I wore a pair of black trousers with a red stripe down the side, beautiful jacket, a really nice shirt, and Christian Louboutin shoes. Now, the trousers that I was wearing were designed to look like athleisure. They were not joggers. They were made in cotton. They were actually more like military trousers. They had a red stripe down the side, but they had no fly closure. I'm not sure if you guys are very technical on the garment situation, but they had no fly closure, so, And when we got to the door, the manager wouldn't let us in because of my trouser. But I was with one of our acquaintances at the time, and he was dressed in, trainers, somewhat semi-jogger /leggings and a t-shirt, and my friend was dressed very casually as well. albeit, trendy. And we were refused entry because of my trouser. And I said, why? And they were like, no, you can't come in. And they allowed my friend in his leggings, trousers, to go into this bar, but they did not allow me. And when I asked to speak to the manager, lo and behold, the manager was somebody, who wasn't colored. He came through, looked at me once. I was like, why am I not allowed in? These are trousers. He's like, no. Walked away. Didn't even give me the time, the chance to explain, to even ask what was wrong with my outfit. Now guys, I work in fashion. I know what's acceptable and what isn't. And these were actual trousers. And I looked, and I'm not saying this to sound like I'm better than anybody else, but it's a sports bar. Can you imagine what the guys inside were wearing? Some were in flip-flops, some were in sandals, some were in denim. It's not a fashionable place. So for them to turn me down based on a perfect outfit obviously shows some kind of bias, and it was just very unacceptable. And I took to my social media and I tagged them in everything, and I, just made sure to get the message out there that this is not done and this is not okay and it is not acceptable. Now, this actually resulted in me meeting with the manager of this particular establishment, which I will not mention because of what I'm going to say in this vlog. After my meeting with the manager, who was Irish, and his co-manager, who dismissed me, that they were very apologetic. They were so apologetic, and although I must say, one of the managers tried to put in a little bit of attitude there, and he said to me, I was kind of like, wow, when I got tagged by my boss in the morning by all these posts on social media, and I was like a bit irritated, to be frank, and I looked at him at this point and I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, because once you get tarnished with the race brush, it's kind of over. And I have to say that you don't get tarnished with the race brush unless you do something to tarnish your own reputation. I don't want to be out here on my social media embarrassing myself, telling people I didn't get into a cheap sports bar because of my outfit. Don't you think that embarrasses me as a person, to tell people, look, what I was wearing wasn't good enough for me to get into this bar? Nobody wants to put themselves in that position, and I had to make my issue heard, and my voice was heard, and hopefully this will never happen again, and their policies will allow them to carefully scan people before they let them into the bar. Now, when I say this was primarily a race issue and nothing to do with my outfit, it is because the bouncer, and this is something I did not tell the manager, because I know that they will fire this poor man and they will, be blameless, because that is what people in power do, or some people in power. The bouncer, when my friend got annoyed from me, and my friend, who's somebody I used to associate with, went back to the bouncer and said, yo, look, why, how come you're allowing me to go into the bar and you're not allowing him? And you know what the bouncer told him? Because you're white. Do you at home understand the gravity of that statement? So you can be wearing the most disheveled thing, you can be unshowered, you can, not care about your appearance at all, but because of the color of your skin, please come through into our establishment. Okay. I have to say though, after my tags and after my messages with management, I was very thankful that they made the time to sit down and talk to me and really discuss the matter at hand, which was a race issue. Which was, they apologized to me, told me they didn't know how expensive my shoes were, blah, 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 which is irrelevant to the main bottom line, which is you denied me entry because of the color of my skin, looked at my trouser, didn't think their primary excuse was they didn't know that those were trousers. I'm not even going to justify that scenario by showing you guys a picture of the trouser, because we all know how certain things work. But I also think, and as you guys will know from this story and this video, if you don't say something, if you don't speak up, if you let injustice go by, it will continue to thrive and fester like rot in wood. It is terrible, and I think it is so important to have your own voice. Now, moving on to issue 2. Issue 2 for the day, guys, because there has to be a second one, which is the reason for this particular video, is drumroll barcode in Tamanaya Terrace at Radison Blu. I think it's in Media City. I don't know because I don't drive. Obviously I do go there. But I have to say, as you guys know from my previous vlog, I hate clubbing, and I have, for the most part, for 5 months, I wasn't having any cigarettes or alcohol, but I do have to say that it's a personal decision. Anyway, moving on. I decided this one night, look, I need a break, I need to let loose, and I want to go out with my friend Mo. So we got ready, you know, we had a little drink at my place. We were living, and when I say living, we were living. We were just living for the moment, picking outfits, talking about what we're gonna do that night, just dancing. And I, for the first time in forever, I have never ever done this before, I decided to wear a pair of shorts to a bar. Now, before you think, why would I do that? Let me tell you, I have been to this particular bar night before, the same night that I was going for this Friday, and there were more than 50 guys in shorts. And when I say shorts, I mean shorts, okay? Like shorts. Not to mention, you know, tank tops and all these other things that you conventionally wouldn't see here. And that was exciting, and it was fun, and it was new, and I thought, okay, cool, I'm going to wear shorts. But you guys know me, I'm not just gonna throw on a pair of like Daisy Dukes and be like, hey y'all, like I am going to do it high fashion. I'm going to do it and make it look different. So I wore this pair of like white trousers, white shorts, sorry, that looked very vintage to me, and I cinched them into my waist, and they kind of gave you like a little bit of like a poofy kind of situation. And I wore a Givenchy t-shirt and a denim jacket with my Christian Louboutin shoes. And you know, it was a statement. It looked fun, it looked cool. Granted, it looked unconventional in this region perhaps, but I will tell you very honestly that I would wear the same outfit during the daytime to an event and I will be fine. Like, no one's going to stop me. People might stare, but people here stare at you if you have ripped jeans. So it's not really relevant to this particular occurrence. But anywho, we get to the bar, me and my friend, and they tell us obviously like we have to pay and they don't take cards. So we walk across the street to the bank, come back, get to the door, we're paying, and the bouncer's like, sir, you can't come in. I was like, why? Like, why not? He's like, you can't come in this, these are too short. I was like, what do you mean they're too short? They were like here, and he's like, no, these are too short. And I was like, okay, do you want me to pull them down? And at this point the bouncer's like, you know, just very kind of, he wasn't being rude, they were very friendly, but they were like, not even really looking at me. So I pulled them down to my knee. He's like, no, now you look naked. I was like, okay. I was like, I'm going to go to the car. Thankfully I brought jeans because I know I'm prepared, right? I told you guys before, I'm prepared. I looked them in the face and told them, fine, I'm gonna go change, but I don't want to see anybody else here in shorts. And they're like, no, it's not gonna happen. So me and my friend walked back to the car, changed into my jeans, and now my entire buzz is dead. Because that outfit was fun, it was expressive, it was who I wanted to be that night, and they killed it at an event and a night which is supposed to welcome everybody, okay? But, okay, fine. I was like, cool, I just want to have a good time. Dressed in those jeans, went in. I was, for the most part, having a lukewarm night until about an hour and a half in when the entire place started filling up. Guess what I saw? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boys coming in shorts. You know what else I noticed? All of those boys were white, or, and I do have to stress this fact, or Middle Eastern. I have to say I got mildly irritated. And at the same time, when I had got into the bar after my change into the jeans, I messaged the manager of the night, and I said, and whose name is Octavian for everybody's information. I messaged him and I said, look, why wasn't I allowed, can you please clarify what the rule is here? Because they just denied me entry, and he asked me to send him a picture. I sent him a picture, never responded. And I was like, okay, that's it. I'm gonna go find the manager. So I left my friend Mo behind and went to speak to Octavian, who was around. And I caught him, as in I caught him talking to someone, and I was like, excuse me, can I talk to you about this situation? He's like, not really even paying attention. He's like, hi, how are you? Shakes my hand and then starts talking with the guy next to him. And I was like, oh, I'm the one who messaged you on Instagram. And he looks at me and he's like, I responded, but you didn't reply. I was like, actually I did. And he's like, oh, I didn't see it. Okay, I ignored that. And I was like, okay, I just want to know what the protocol is. And then halfway through talking to him, imagine you're trying to have this conversation and I'm saying, I just want to know what the protocol is. Some people are walking and he's like, oh, hey, how are you? Literally in front of me, ignores me, shaking hands with somebody else, because this conversation is not important. This conversation, when one of your attendees to an event that you have organized is coming to you with a query, you ignore the person and you acknowledge somebody else, then that person's in between us. And keep in mind, after this guy goes away, this guy's still talking to his friend, because he assumes at this point I've scurried away like a little housemaid, right? And I'm still standing there like, okay, so can you please clarify? He's like, look, I just don't have the time right now. I was like, why are you shouting? I was like, why are you shouting at me? And this is how I'm speaking, right? I was like, why are you shouting at me? He's like, oh my God, you're so sensitive. You're so dramatic. And I was like, excuse me? And he was like, you're so sensitive. I told you before that you can't wear, this is the dress code. This is the policy. Sorry. Wow. I have never, and I have to say, bravo to the previous establishment that I have dealt with to handle the issue with such grace and poise and professionalism, because this was none of those things, okay? None of those things whatsoever. This person was so rude and disrespectful, and it gets better, you guys. Just when you think it's done, it gets better. And I said, okay, well, clearly you can't have a conversation right now because I don't see what was wrong with my shorts. And he's like, come here. And then he took me to the side. He's like, look, you were the one wearing a jacket like a girl and those shorts. This isn't allowed here. And he walks away. Guys, let me tell you what I was wearing. I was wearing white shorts, a little flared, okay, a little flared, white men's shorts. I do have to stress that, white men's shorts, a Givenchy t-shirt tucked in, and a denim jacket off my shoulder. I'm sorry, did they issue some kind of new law internationally where, or even in Dubai, where men can't wear their jacket off their shoulder with a pair of shorts? Because I've worn a jacket off my shoulders to work. So what was the criteria by which I was denied entry in that outfit, whereas everybody else was allowed entry? When I say everybody else, please note that I'm talking primarily Caucasian and people who do not look like they are ethnic. I am qualified as ethnic by these people and the management, and therefore I am a second-class citizen and allowed to kind of be swept to the side like, look, you either take it or you go back. You know what I mean? It's not an okay case. And keep in mind, as I mentioned before, there were people at this bar prior that were in mesh tops, were just kind of half shirtless, were wearing tank tops at the reception, and it's like, I'm here giving you, respectable in terms of what your dress code is, and that's the way you speak to me. I was like, okay, clearly I can't have this conversation with you right now, and he's like, so sensitive, and I was like, thank you, and I walked away, because he was not interested. He was not interested in having this conversation. He was not interested in talking to me. He was just interested in being rude and demeaning and just very matter-of-factly like, look, you either take it or you get out. Did not care. Did not care about anybody else or anybody else who was wearing shorts, okay? Then later, another one of my friends came in, and he was Middle Eastern, and he was wearing shorts. So, that's okay. And I also want to tell you guys, okay, that I think one of the primary differences, aside from him being able to sweep me to the side and making it, another clear example another clear example of this race situation is that they want everybody at this night to look masculine. The fact that he told me, you were the one wearing like a girl in his broken English, is a depiction of toxic masculinity, not just on an international level, but one that is so prevalent within our own community. Now, when I say community, I mean us people today, modern, millennials, whatever you would like to call them, most of us are very open and loving, and we don't judge people based on their religious beliefs, the color of their skin, their sexual preference, etc., etc., etc. We respect the laws of the countries that we stay in, and at the same time we respect other people. The fact that you're not allowed in if you wear something that could slightly be considered feminine is just not done because it is based on the biases of the person who's organizing the event, and that is a dictatorship, and that is not okay, and that is not done. If you think something is feminine, that is your perception of it, because if I wear a dress tomorrow, that does not make me any less of a man. In fact, that, in my opinion, that makes me more of a man because I am comfortable with who I am. The question is, are you? And this is a question to Octavian, the manager of the night. Are you comfortable with who you are? Is this what you want to promote? Bigotry and hatred. Now, when I got home, I was fuming. I was so irritated. I left that horrible, horrible place, and I will not be going back. And I suggest if you are somebody who loves yourself, who loves your friends, who loves equality, I suggest that you never go back to this place because it just promotes hatred and bigotry and toxic masculinity, and I cannot emphasize that anymore. But just when you think it can't get better, when I emailed Octavian the next day, and I will read you guys the message that I sent him on Instagram, sorry, to clarify, a message on Instagram, I will read you his response. So this is me, and this is my message. Dear Octavian, with regards to your message, I am not sure what your prior experience handling events is, but the manner in which you handled our conversation was completely unprofessional. I approached you to truly understand the dress code, but you seemed incredibly uninterested, and beyond that even resorted to degrading slurs such as what I was wearing was a jacket like a girl, and calling me sensitive and dramatic for trying to have a conversation with you. I'm very curious to know if this is how you usually engage with customers who have questions. It's a shame that someone who is handling a night that is supposed to welcome everyone is so small-minded and bigoted. There were several men in shorts, shorter than mine. The only difference is they were Caucasian. So where's the real problem here? Is that what you represent? I believe in respect for all people, no matter their race, sex, sexual preference, or religious beliefs. And it is a shame that you seem to not care about the people you claim to be celebrating. There is enough bigotry, racism, and toxic masculinity in the world, and it shouldn't start from our community. I hope all your future events are better handled and organized. Dmitri. You know, a professional would know how to respond to this message appropriately. But wait till you hear this. Dear Dmitri, spelled my name wrong, I still believe you are sensitive and dramatic. You came to me to ask some questions. I tried to explain. You did not like the answer. You jumped on me that I am shouting. To not mention that constantly you would interrupt me. I am going to repeat myself. I was not shouting. I was talking loud as there was loud music, in case you did not realize. Condescending. Regarding dress code, that is what I decided, and that should be respected. Why? Because of the profile of the event. I should be careful with some elements. Now, you will say, yeah, but there were a lot of guys in shorts. Well, it is weird that you can do such a good text to tell me how unprofessional I am, but can't make difference between the way you was wearing and the way all these other men were wearing. So basically telling me the way I wore shorts the wrong way. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know there was a wrong way to wear shorts. Did you? Well, the more you know. Let the message continue. I am not against your style. Girly, not girly, that is none of my business. But you, buddy, buddy. Don't give indications to the venue how they should handle their door policy. On another note, I tried to be nice to you to explain something even though you was set on yours and did not care to listen or understand. Trust me, all caps, I can guarantee you, no venue would entertain your question even for a second. So you to question my experience in events and call me unprofessional based on that situation, that's super funny. Stay positive and happy. Now, he clearly hasn't handled big scale events because hell yeah, I have a right to ask you about your door policy. If I feel like your door policy is unfair, then I have every right to question it. I am not some clown off the street. I'm not gonna come to your bar in a disheveled t-shirt and a crop top and 5 nipple piercings and try to get in with a G-string. We're in the Middle East. I'm going to come to your club with what I think and what I'm sure most of you will agree with me is respectable attire to an event to have a good time, and you are turning me away, but you are allowing a plethora of other men and women in here wearing exactly what I'm wearing. So if you're going to, I don't have a problem with the dress code. In fact, you guys know that I am the #1 enforcer of dress codes. But if you're going to implement a rule, the rule should be for everyone. No shorts means no jersey shorts, no sports shorts, no booty shorts, no denim shorts, no leather shorts. It does not mean 5 types of shorts are allowed, but the way you're wearing yours are wrong. That is clearly a discriminatory act, perhaps not based on my race. I say that very loosely, but I am not convincing myself here. That is based on your preference, and your preference does not equate with what is right in this world. But after telling me all of that, laughing and calling me girly and silly, his last message to me is, and says, P.S. From my side, I will just apologize for whatever happened yesterday, and if you feel offended somehow. You know, guys, this man irritated me so much, but I have to say I am not offended by him. What I am offended with is these club managers thinking they can continue to promote systematic hatred against people of color and people who are different. People who are different. Let's focus on that. People who are different. We cannot discriminate and we should not hate people who are different. You cannot organize an event that is claiming to celebrate people for who they are and then make people question themselves. Do you know how difficult it is for people to go out there and be themselves? Have you ever thought about how difficult it is to grow up different, be different? And let me clarify, I am not just talking about people of a different sexual orientation. I am talking about the black kid at an all-white school. I am talking about the only Arab in an American school. I am talking about how every person of color or difference or religious beliefs feel when they are a minority and reminded that they are a minority and that they do not matter. Do you know how many times people have asked me and look shocked when I tell them that I am Sri Lankan? Do you know how many times I have to try extra hard to be better at something because somebody assumes that everyone from my country is either a domestic worker, which is a great, fabulous, hard-working job, need I remind you, or somebody who cannot speak, read, or write English. People are unaware of all of these things, and it's time that all of you out there wake up and see that a lot of issues are based on racial prejudice and unintelligent behavioral patterns. Now, at least with the first venue, which I will not mention because they handled their entire situation professionally despite it being an obvious racist one, they apologized in a manner that is befitting of that organization. Now, this event held at the Radison Blu in Media City. It's called Barcode is the night that happens on Friday. I was not only was my entire night just ruined by being turned away at the door and asked to change, but my entire night was ruined by a manager who thinks he is promoting love and providing the space for people to express themselves, when in reality, you are allowed to express yourself if you're white and you're masculine. But if you're not, if you don't go to the gym, if you don't have a beard, if you don't have hand gestures like me, or walk a little funny, or dress a little funny, you're not allowed. Sorry, sweetie, I ain't got time for you. Sorry, sweetie, go somewhere else. You know what this reminds me of? This almost reminds me of this old sign that I've seen on Pinterest when I used to do some of the articles on my experiences, where in a bar in Australia it said, "No dogs and blacks allowed." Can you imagine that? Can you imagine? You think, you know what? I know this, and I can speak for my community. I don't need to speak, when I speak about colored people, I speak about all of us. But let me tell you something. Anybody who is not dark skinned, now I think I'm dark, but there are a lot of people in my country that are darker. But there are a lot of people that have my skin color, who are part of the South Asian community, part of the Indian community. They think they're white, as do a lot of Middle Eastern people, as do a lot of, as I said, Indian people, South Asian people. They think that they're not brushed by the same brush strokes, the negative brush strokes that are associated with people of color. Because of this color, lighter colors, I'm sorry, you all qualify as people of color, and any issue or injustice to a person of color should be one that you take into account as well. I will not and never, and I say this with a lot of respect, and I continue to say this on this channel, as I did with my Sandas Al Khatan video. I have lived here since I was 7 years old, and I found the way in which you convey your message is what is most important in Dubai. There are laws in place to protect us as people. I am not a citizen of this country, but I also know that there are laws. There is human rights in this country to protect you from unjust employers, owners who treat you a certain way. Now, you need to remember that. You cannot tell yourself that, oh my God, believe all this hype and these, panic-causing things in certain tabloids and believe that you cannot have a single complaint before getting tossed in jail. That is not the way this country works. There's a reason that this country is successful and booming and there's so much business here. It is because you are allowed to have a voice, yes, but it is the way in which you convey your message. And I do have to say that with everything that's going on in the world, with everything that is going on for people and for people of color and for everybody, and how tough the world is in general, I am ashamed to have even set foot at an event organized by people who claim to be part of the community. But in reality, you can only be part of the community if you're Caucasian, look like you, no offense to anyone out there for this term, but are straight acting and, just normal, into what they qualify as normal. What they don't realize is that this is a place for everybody to come to, respect the dress code, yes, but the dress code shouldn't be based on your biases, and it should welcome everyone. And also, please, for future organizers, I know you think that everybody wants to have a drink, but this is Dubai and we've got so many options that if I can choose between going to the Hilton and having a drink, what makes you think I want to come there and be surrounded by sweaty people? I don't. And I'm gonna leave you guys by telling you another little funny excerpt. There are people, I think, people who've made comments such as, why am I not getting paid XYZ, I'm white, statements like that. I've been around people like that multiple times. And there are people who, are probably watching this and saying, why is he always making it a race issue? Why is it XYZ? I want to say that this is an injustice. It is an injustice based, as I mentioned, on unintelligent thought. When you allow one person to disrespect you, You allow a community and a world of people to disrespect you. But when you need to convey a message, you need to be able to do it politely and appropriately, without physical violence. I tried to address the issue with the owner of this club, and I was not only disrespected, I was made to feel ashamed of what I was wearing. And when somebody makes you feel that way, just like I was denied entry to that previous place where the bouncer told my friend, you're fine because you're white and you're wearing Yeezys, whereas, you know, it's a bit of a joke to me. I think it is very important to be proud of yourself. Always know that you deserve more. Never ask for less. Always ask for more. I want to correct this systematic frame of thought for people my age who were taught by their communities and their parents to always keep quiet, never ask for more, always keep your head down. No, because you know what? All these other people, all of these Caucasian kids and Eastern European kids and XYZ, that's not how it works. They were taught to ask for what they want and they get it. So why should you be any different? You are educated enough, you are talented enough, you are hardworking enough, and you are more than capable. So go out there and stand up for what you believe in and get what's yours, and don't let people like Mr. Octavian or any other person in your life make you feel like you are a second-class citizen, because I'm here to tell you, in case you forget, you aren't. How does it feel to not be basic? Thank you guys for watching.